Horehound, the healing helper of the past and the present. Horehound has long since been used to treat throat and respiratory conditions. You've probably had it without even knowing it. Horehound is the main ingredient in a lot of throat lozenges that are sold over the counter to soothe sore throats. It was also a key ingredient in root beer until the 1970s. But we're getting ahead of ourselves. Let's go back in time and learn how this prolific weed treated the world in the past, how it created a loophole in the law during Prohibition, and how it still serves us to this very day. Let's introduce Horehound, the friend to emperors, households, and criminals, and the enemy of assassins and farmers on the outback. Horehound can trace its roots to Europe and southwestern Asia. Given its wide usage, it had spread all across Asia, the Middle East, and North Africa by the time it was first officially recorded in 1000 BC. And even the first writings noted its ancient medicinal usage. It might just be one of the oldest curative plants we've ever covered in this series. The oldest recordings date back to the Arabic and Egyptian nations, where it was used mainly as a respiratory medication. It soothed sore throats and induced sweating to detoxify the body from any impurities and fevers. Royal gardens in Egypt kept it in stock year-round to ensure that the pharaohs and the royal family always had it at hand. While most of the northern world used it in the form of tea, the Europeans preferred instead to prepare it steeped in heated wine or mead. Roman emperors kept it close in the event of poisonings. There might even be some truth to its effectiveness in helping to purge the body of unwanted toxins. The bitter taste increases saliva production, which could help break down toxins more efficiently in the digestive tract. Horehound induces mild perspiration and encourages the kidneys to work more efficiently, further expelling unwanted toxicity through the urine. But it was the English that took Horehound to a whole other level. The rather bitter taste became a national favorite, and it was added to hard sugar candies, both as a tasty treat and to relieve inflamed throats. It's thanks to this use of Horehound that we still have throat lozenges for colds and sore throats today. They brewed it with liqueur, ale, beer, or just about any alcoholic beverage they could get their hands on. The English weren't picky about what it was infused with. Higher alcoholic tinctures were used for medicinal purposes, but it was added to lighter ales and beers just because it was delicious. Mostly these parts of the world used Horehound predominantly as a treatment for any respiratory diseases and digestion issues, to relieve nausea, and to increase the appetites of those who were ill and the elderly. When it came to the Americas, Native Americans extended its use to skincare and for gynecological problems. When the 1900s came around, its medical use was almost exclusively reserved for cough syrup and throat lozenges, and of course still for hard candies, and as an additive to alcoholic drinks. Then Prohibition came around, and Horehound-infused drinks fell into a legal gray zone where alcohol could be used as medication without facing prosecution. And you can bet your top dollar that this loophole was exploited shamelessly. Horehound-infused drinks allowed for harder liquors to be sold over the counter, and if you were willing to shell out a few extra cents, the pleasant, minty bitterness that Horehound added to a drink was a happy trade-off from bootleg moonshine. Adding Horehound to liqueurs stayed around for quite some time after Prohibition was lifted, until it slowly faded out of fashion. Luckily, cough syrups and lozenges managed to retain their popularity in modern times. The USDA has given Horehound 2 thumbs up as far as safe consumption goes. Studies conducted in the USA have been successful in proving the direct reduction of bacteria associated with chest infections like bronchitis, the common cold, and various influenza strains. It's also set to start clinical trials in Germany to look into its approval as a treatment for appetite loss, gastronomical bloating, and a targeted examination as an antiseptic treatment for respiratory infections. Horehound can, however, counteract medications geared toward blood pressure regulation and blood thinners. So keep your prescription medication in mind if you are looking to add Horehound to your natural remedial stock. The whole plant is suitable for use. You can find equal concentrations of nutrients, vital minerals, and compounds in both the root and leaf. It's high in potassium, vitamin C, amino acids, flavonoids, and tannins. The leaf is just the easier option to use since there's no need to dig roots out from under the ground, and it grows green for most of the year, so you'll always have a fresh supply at hand. And where the bitterness of the leaf is quite pleasant when combined with its other fresh notes, the flowers can be so bitter that it becomes downright unpleasant. Whichever part of the plant you choose to use, fresh or dried, it's used exactly like any other herb. Teas can be steeped in boiling water for about 10 minutes. Since horehound is related to the mint family, it pairs well with other herbs that would complement mint. Chamomile is especially well suited to add to your cup. Tincture. Fill a glass jar halfway with fresh leaves or clean roots, and fill it the rest of the way with your choice of alcohol. Apple cider is a tasty option that will add even more antioxidants to your treatment. Higher alcohol strengths can be stored simply in a cool room, but lesser potencies like cider and wine should be kept in the fridge to avoid spoilage. Topical use. Fresh leaves can be ground into a paste and added to tallow and beeswax to treat minor skin irritations. Extracts can be added to steaming water. The infused steam from the water will clear your nasal passages very well when you breathe in. And finally, fresh. Chopped horehound leaves add a little bit of bitterness to a fresh salad, very reminiscent of radishes. Though they aren't at all peppery, horehound does give the same complexity to an otherwise bland dish. But don't be too heavy-handed or it can overpower other flavors. Horehound can be a headache if it gets out of hand. 100 years ago, it was brought over to Australia, and since then, it's been classified as an invasive species, so be sure to keep them in pots and to trim back flowers to keep ahead of any seed spreading to the rest of your garden. Horehound is a perennial, and a single plant can last for many years. It will die back in winter, but only if it gets very cold, and it bounces right back as soon as the snow clears. Like its mint relative, horehound spreads through seeds and by sending out feelers to set down new roots wherever they touch the ground. So keep your pruning shears close by, but honestly, you can't ask for a more forgiving plant to keep. Horehound seems to thrive when it's left forgotten. They can grow in nutrient-starved soil. They don't need much water, and quite frankly, there are few plants on the planet that can adapt to such a wide variety of climates like horehound. From the deserts of Australia to the wet and cold weather of England and anything in between, horehound was made to adapt and multiply. There is no reason why anyone should be hesitant about keeping horehound close at hand. No matter how inexperienced you are in the garden, you can't ask for a harder shrub to kill. Even under the most negligent circumstances, horehound is there to keep the seasonal coughs and sniffles away. And if it was good enough for kings, then it sure is good enough for us. Were you aware you've been using an ancient medicine all this time? Or are you looking to expand your natural remedies by adding horehound to your garden? We'd love to hear your thoughts and experiences. Leave your comments below. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more herbal explorations. Tune in next time as we continue our journey through the fascinating world of medicinal herbs. Until then, stay curious and embrace the power of nature's pharmacy. Disclaimer: I am not a medical doctor. If you are on chronic medication, pregnant, or suffering from any health condition, please consult a medical professional. I am here to relay my own thoughts and opinions. My videos are entirely based on my own research and experiences.